to the January meeting of the Warren Shire Council. Warren Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land within Warren Shire and acknowledges the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who reside within the Shire. Please ask for apologies and leave of absence, please. Councillor McCloskey.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councillor McCloskey informed me that he would be not attending today. He is out of the area.
Can I have a motion, Councillor Derrett, Councillor Kinsey? Those in favour? Thank you. And yeah, I do it. Just as an aside, thank you all. January is not a good time. There's a lot of people, days and stuff for the effort to be. Our next item on the agenda is the combination of the minutes of our council meeting held on Thursday, the 5th of December 24. Councillor Surdity moving and Councillor McKay, thank you, seconding. Councillor Surdity, if you've got to move, there is calling for any comments or anything coming out of those minutes, realising that a few of those will be on the business paper later in the day. If not, I'll that be accepted. Yes, the minutes are accepted unanimous. Number 5, disclosure of interest. If anyone has got an interest in anything that's going to be discussed today, could they bring that up? Councillor Kelly.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that item 4 later on the discussion on the proposed land acquisition down at Queensland Cotton. I've got a non-pecuniary interest, but I do have a family member that works in the organisation down there.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. It is a complicated thing of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests, especially when you're in a village of this size where everybody knows everybody and everybody's aware of members of certain organisations, and it's something that we all need to be aware of. Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Kelly is, I would say it's non-pecuniary to an interest that Councillor Kelly could stay.
Okay. That's insignificant.
Not significant. The reason for that ruling is that Councillor Kelly is not, or Councillor Kelly's those involved in Councillor Kelly's are not going to be recipient of any monies or anything. We've seen Councillor Derrett say this quite a number of times with her thing, and the non-pecuniary to a degree is something that's very hard to get away from in the village of Christendom. There is no mayoral minute. There's nothing of urgency that I need to bring to your notice at this meeting. Item 7, we'll move through these reasonably quickly. Questions, if we may. The first report is the meeting of the Australia Day Committee held on Monday the 16th of December. Councillor Jackson, Councillor Cleesby, Councillor Jackson.
We've already talked about the logistics of the day. I just wanted to bring to your attention the disclosure of non-pecuniary but significant interests that myself and Councillor Cleesby had in relation to one of the nominees in particular, and we did abstain from the decision-making process for that particular category. So if during the course of the day you see the winners and you think to yourself, please note that we were very particular about making sure that there was nothing untoward in selecting.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jackson. No other comments about Australia Day publicly through the video. I invite everyone to join us at Victoria Park, the sporting complex, for our Australia Day Awards with our ambassador, Alexandra Moore. Alexandra Moore competed in a couple of Olympics in 2 different sports, and will be in Warren all weekend to meet us and involve herself in our community. So I'll put that all in favour. Thank you. Moving on, the Roads Committee meeting was on Tuesday, the 14th of January. And I have Councillor Kinsey. Thank you. A seconder for that, please. Councillor Wass, Councillor Kinsey.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Roads Committee was fairly constructive, although we're fairly constrained by how much money we can spend on stuff, and we've got to do a budget to work all that out. But basically, we've bought 2 Isuzu trucks. But,
I think that's a planned committee.
oh, sorry, off on the road, bloody road. So you get involved in it, or
Usually the mayor that makes the five part together.
anyhow, but basically the roads committee, I'm shocked, I'm a bit off the tree now. The roads committee was fairly successful. We've found a few spots that need to be redoing, and one of them's on that Cathedral Road, and it's going to be relined. Well, there's trees in the way. There's one thing that didn't come up, and I've had a few complaints about it, was the crossing at Oscott, railway line crossing there. There's mild trees that are blocking the view there again. So that's been said to me by a few of the residents of Nevertire and Warren. And we've decided we have our inspection regime upgraded a bit. We're probably going to do our gravel roads twice a year at least, and just see how that goes. If it's not too onerous on the staff. And the Booker Road is, I believe, progressing, if not done. That'll do, mate. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
The Councillor McCloskey and I spent a weekend driving around our London roads. Part of that meeting, it's one of our most serious challenges is keeping our home roads up to the standard, and it's a challenge for us budgetary wise and operationally wise. And Sylvester and his staff will need to concentrate on. Have you got any comments, Drew, to Roads Committee?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As discussed in the Roads Committee meeting, we are reallocating the $600,000 for gravel sheeting. It was initially allocated for Badabada Road, but the committee decided to reallocate it and include a few more roads, including Pine Plum Soldiers Road, Vermont Road, Penningbar Road, and Kayanga Meabon Road. So staff have gone out and identified sections that need to be addressed. Cremont Road towards the end of the road, 800 meters that need to be addressed. So our only challenge is identifying the sources of gravel, which we are working on.
Thank you. Correct. Any other comments?
Just for you, Mr. A couple of questions. There was a talk in here about fencing to exclude cattle and stock from live reserves. What's that in relation to?
The all this, or this came out previous council, Council McKay, firstly came out of stock on the roads in the rain when it's wet, and then developed it. We had a couple of car accidents. We had 3 car accidents on the Old Warren Road with the driver not doing the right thing. So we expressed interest with that to the LLS, and basically complained about the driver, and obviously they've reacted to that. The other comments are to do with unfenced roads in our Shire that are unfenced. Some is leased to private owners by the LLS. Some is just through private land. The road reserve is through private land. The cattle in the wet, especially down the Corinda Road, do a lot of damage to the side of the road when they're camped on the road in the times that we've had a lot of rain. And Sylvester and the LLS we're just trying to ascertain how much we've got unfenced road and what we should do with it, the cost of it. So director staff are at this stage working out what the possibilities are. We have a unfenced road policy, am I correct? Stop policy. It's undeniable that especially the areas down on one of our major tourist routes when it's wet, with the seal, it is dangerous. We need to investigate where we should go, and that's as far as we've gone. Nothing you have to comment to that?
Just adding that I'm in the process of reviewing a few policies that are concerned with that stop movement around roads, and that will be discussed in the next roads committee meeting.
Just does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And just the second question, further on in the papers, there's mention of a culvert being replaced on the Oxley Highway. Do we know which one that is?
Mr. Mayor, there are a few of them.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a whole program to replace some culverts and also to clean culverts along the highway. So yeah, there are a few of them. The ones for replacement are on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor, you might have noticed that the contractors have cleaned all the culverts in the last few weeks, and that's part of our highway contract. Councillor King.
Yeah, in regards to culverts, one of the culverts that we repaired before Christmas is going back to the original state it was in before it was repaired. That's the one opposite you. Well, is that the one, Dora?
That's what I thought might be being replaced. Yeah.
So it'd been repaired. It had some bitumen put over it and gravel and stuff, but now it's doing it again
On the highway.
on the highway. Yeah. So it's opposite Bob's end. It's just the other side of Sandy Creek.
Not it.
I thought when I read that too, that would have been the culvert that we repaired. You're going to replace.
As an aside, Director Sylvester, there's one of the ones on the new Nevertide Tottenham, our new work that it's a bit of a look at.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm aware of that, and it will be done before the crew move from that road.
Thank you. Anything else on the roads matters, guys?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, about acknowledging Narromine Council's efforts on the Ellengerard Road. It's a cracking job. That was, if not one of the worst roads anywhere near joining our Shire. So well done to Narromine for getting onto that. It's now passable, two-wheel drive.
It was quite interesting when the young Narromine engineer took a drive along that. It was reasonably shocked.
Yeah. But his vehicle was too.
So it's good now.
Great. Really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, anything else, guys? We'll move on. Our next report is the plant. Councillor Kinty.
Thank you.
Take this.
Oh, you've got one more to go.
See,
So,
looking for a second, Someone put Council Brewer, hand up, Councillor Kinty.
so we have purchased two items, which is which when we tendered for them, they were the only tenders we got back. They were the only ones that got back in touch with us. And I don't think that that's a very good situation to be. We discussed how to get around it, but I don't think we sorted it out really. We've got a new cat grader coming. It's going to be here very shortly.
It's before Christmas, but it's not here.
No, I think it was a few months away. And then we're going to have to work out a budget for our fleet, like light vehicles and heavy vehicles. And that has not been done as such. When the money start rolling in, that's when we'll be able to work that out. That's about it for me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just as an aside, there is, the road crews have expressed displeasure about riding in those twin cab seats, and we have had issues of complaints with backs, and they're not. If anyone's ever been in the back seat of those, they're not real pretty. It's just a bit of foam rubber about that. So with our workshop foreman and others, we're trying to investigate ways to alleviate that. We have one different branded truck that had some teething issues. We're trialing that at the moment. We have had staff displeasure about it's at this stage in an investigative stage. We appreciate, as an organisation, we appreciate the dramas of it. We're just trying to work one way around it. Any other comments on the plan? No one? I don't think you will all have in favour of that report. It's been noted. Thank you. Meeting of Mannix meeting on 14th of January, received and noted for Councillor Shire. Second, please, Councillor McKay. GM, would you like to comment on anything that jumps out at you?
Mr. Mayor, the reports are fairly standard and repeated through the general manager's reports as well, particularly on actions taken by the departments within the council. I suppose the thing that stands out the most were a couple of points made by our treasurer, which are important points, and particularly around timesheets. I know that the Divisional Manager of Engineering Services has sent out or will be sending out a memo to ensure that timesheets come in accurately. Timesheets are an important document for our business. Not only does it allow the payment of salaries, but it also allows the recording and allocation of funds to items of plant. And it's that funding of internal plant, particularly, that goes into the plant reserve that allows the particular items to be replaced at certain intervals. And what we're noticing is that some of the plant is not being recorded, and that then unfortunately dilutes the process of replacement. So we've been very strong on that. So Sylvester has organised that memo. I have also organised a meeting for a week after next with the divisional managers, with the treasurer, myself, and next level down to reinforce that point that timesheets, they are a legal document. They're signed by various people, and obviously staff are not taking enough time or care, or perhaps don't care, as to the information provided. So we've got to nip that in the bud as quickly as possible. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, no, it's all fairly straightforward.
Thank you. Yeah, the timesheet issue was one that was brought up to with previous council and as well as that, the notation of each individual plant is important. Bureaucratic process, I know, but it is important to our budget process that each individual plant gets done. So well done there. Any other comments on that, Councillor Derrick? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as we move with the recommendation, just to comment and say congratulations to those involved in the Connecting Seniors grant application. $30,000 sounds like a good amount for such a program without knowing the details of what's going to be done. That's really good. Thank you.
Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, just was after a bit more information about the communication update, the Riders Who, where are they based? And Laura Tracy that will be running our social media. What's her time allocation per week, or how does that all work?
Riders Who are sort of spread all over the place. But Jodie probably knows more than I. The editor, I think she's called Lindsay. Is that her title? Is located in Sydney.
I think their office is in Sydney, but she's based around Bathurst.
Right.
Some of the writers are Condobolin, but then some are on the coast as well. And they're kind of like consigned, but they have a set job each month of so many like newsletters, media releases, socials that they do, and they have different staff that are experts in those fields, and they help contribute to our communication processes.
The lady that I use or sort of contact for such stuff that I put out comes from Conda.
Who's that, Greg?
Lucy Kirk.
Lucy.
Kirk.
So I just I just give her the basic framework and she comes back with whether I okay or don't okay. This takes a lot of time out from me. The expense to show up to council, internally, I don't know if we've got staff that are the previous council had a different company work for, which they went away from this field to had big contracts. So this is the first year of the Riders Who.
In fact, Mr. Mayor, when I was here as acting GM prior to Gary starting, I introduced WOW agency to the organisation. Facebook, all our socials were being undertaken by Jodie, and Jodie did a fantastic job. Taking a lot of her own time. So introducing an agency such as WOW or Riders Who I saw was beneficial, and we certainly, it took a while to crank up because staff had to get used to the procedures and they just had to get used to the social networking process as well. So it took a little while to crank up. I understand that after a certain period, it was going quite well. And these agencies also moderate our Facebook page, and they will provide comments either to us asking for a response to any comments on Facebook, or they might be able to put a very generic response there. We don't respond to the community Facebook page. We only respond to those things that we have control of. So they write, they do the newsletter for us. They do, speeches if we want them to do. We've asked them to facilitate our strategic planning session in March as well. So they have those abilities, which is really good, and certainly, as the Mayor has indicated, allows staff to get on with their own day-to-day work rather than dealing with this sort of stuff. What I've noticed, we meet with them once a month and we plan the program for the next month or two. Before Christmas, it got a little bit confusing because we had 2 newsletters go out within 2 weeks. There won't be a newsletter in January, although there will be one in February, which will include the names of the recipients of the Australia Day Awards. So it got a little bit confusing, but certainly with Jodie's experience and panache to detail, she certainly kept them under control, which was fantastic.
Just for example, guys, 10-minute, 5-minute conversation with Jodie and Jodie talking to them produced a speech for me that I'm going to use on Sunday, which probably would have taken me 2 or 3 hours to do. If you know what I mean, if I could have done it. And the stuff that comes back generally after Jodie proofreads and spelling is right, whereas I've done it and spelling it.
The councillors, it's not just about the mayor either, certainly a prominent position. If there's something that you would like to get out there, let us know and we can utilise their services.
Any other comments on the Mannix? So I'll put the Mannix report to be received and noticed. All those in favour? Meeting of the Water and Sewerage Committee, looking for a motion for that. Councillor Kinsey's going again. Councillor Cleesby.
Yeah, the water one lasted for about 2.5 hours. Raymond has informed us that he wants to do a smoke testing about the water system, to find out why, when we get a major rain event, you get another 10% of water in the sewerage system. And the sewerage system can't really handle influxes like that and run properly. So that's when we're going to have to do it. And then when we do it, we're going to find that there's going to be houses in our town and possibly businesses, but actually wrongly let water off their yard go into our sewerage system. And the discussion then was, what do we do about that? And we really haven't worked that out. So the idea is to find out what problems we got and then work out what we're going to do about it. Just do it ourselves, fix it up ourselves, get the owners to fix up what they're doing to our sewerage system via their yard or whatever. We just haven't worked that out. We don't know what's equitable for it. So we'll come to a conclusion there somewhere. Yeah, we could run in another 10% of water into the sewerage system via this mucker. The Ellengerard bore, oddly enough, doesn't have a wall. We legally can't be running, we shouldn't be running it. Raymond's been trying to get that sorted out. To the best of my knowledge at this point in time, he hasn't been successful. The Collie water system is a bit of a mess. It works, but it's just not quite right. That needs a fair bit of money spent on it, to the point that we decided we'll just do a major inquiry into what we can do there and what structures we should be putting there to make it work properly. As you're probably all aware, it's on a septic system. So it's probably not all that good, but that's the way it is over there. And I don't think we could afford to put a fair income sewerage system in there. It's just prohibitive, expensive. So let's hope we don't get asked to do it. The other one is New South Wales Productivity Quality Commission want to create structural reform for Western New South Wales local water utilities. There's about 4 different systems that they could introduce and ask us to do. The most favourable one for us is just to have an alliance, which is informal with the authorities, which is pretty well what we're doing now. But they want to formalise it, and we are probably keen on doing that so that we don't lose control of the systems we have. It's, I don't think it'd be very good if we didn't have a bloke like Raymond running the show for us, but we've got to rely on somebody in Sydney to do it. I can't see that being very good. And also, it's already been mentioned that we want to do a tour of their water infrastructure after this meeting. I think that's enough for me. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
General manager or director need to comment more on what we're going to do, put into the those changes in.
I'll just start very, very briefly and hand over to to Sylvester. The general manager has raised this with you previously. Gary has indicated the preference to maintain the system as we've currently got it, the management system of both the water and our sewage system, because it does provide assistance to the rest of our organisation through various funding mechanisms and for positions as well. And as Councillor Kinsey has indicated, better to manage locally than remotely for a fair way away. So I'll hand over to Sylvester because he's on a working group.
Mr. Mayor, as you know, we belong to an alliance. It used to be called Orana Water Utilities Alliance, but recently changed the name to Western Councils Water Alliance. So this alliance reports to the Alliance of Western Councils, and our alliance partners have expressed the desire to remain in a similar setup, so an alliance, but a formalized one. So we've made that very clear to the Productivity and Equality Commission and also the Department of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water. So discussions are ongoing. The state hasn't formed any opinion as to what structure they prefer, but we've made it clear that we prefer a formal alliance. So the discussion is still ongoing. I am a member of the reference group that's discussing this. So once we agree and form an opinion on what sort of structure we prefer, which we have already, then the commission, the DCU, the department will take the next steps.
The minister has said the status quo is not an option. So we've got to investigate, as Sylvester's just brought up, that this would be the best in our regard. And there's options of a county council like our Weeds County Council, or taking it completely away from us as far as we're concerned is not an option. Any other comments on that?
Through the map, I just find it difficult to understand how a village of size of Collie hasn't got potable water. Like I realise the cost that we're looking at to get potable water. And the other point I'd like to mention, we've got a reservoir value of about 22,500 litres for the village. And in the case of blackouts, and I know we've got generators, main leakage or whatever, 22,000 litres of water is not a great amount of water. But my main concern is that the potable water is not available to a village in these days. It's just hard to believe.
Appreciate the comments. Something that we as an organisation and the committee, we need to lobby for. It's beyond the funding of us as a council or Collie as a village to fund it. We need to find avenues of funding. There is the unique thing that the bore is, as if you're not aware, the bore is 10 to 12 kilometres from the village. As was discussed at the meeting, the options of pressurising the water, either from gravity or pressurisers, is still out there. There's a couple of issues with Crown lands and who owns land that's got to be worked around. There is a certainly challenges in front of us as an organisation to a lot of it revolves around the money that has to be spent.
And Mr. Mayor, can I add, so certainly the water pressure is an issue and there's a header tank now that provides the head to force the water through. The issue of potable water is quite significant because there's only two processes, as I understand it, that can make the bore water potable, and that's either distillation or reverse osmosis. Now, reverse osmosis is desalination, a common process used all over the world in ships, Sydney, everywhere. The problem that occurs with that process is you get a brine, you get a very salty solution. How do you treat that brine? So not only is the reverse osmosis process energy hungry, electricity hungry, we also have the issue of the brine. The distillation process is somewhat more complicated. I'm not aware of any of the detail there, but it's been reinforced through Raymond that it's probably not the best solution there. So certainly we have to get our heads around what is the best solution there very quickly and then go banging on doors to provide that community with some potable water. Let me say though that whilst it's not considered potable, the locals are utilising it as I understand it, and there's been no impacts again as I understand.
This water quality issue can grow and grow. You're not all already aware that the bore water in here, the potable bore water that we've got in the village at the moment is also high on salt. It is below the levels of the health levels, and it's fine. And if anyone wants to technically talk about that, but it's an issue that we need to be aware of, and with and investigate how we're going to do it. Obviously, the as General Manager's just said, the desalination's a massive expense to run. There could be investigating somewhere of diluting the treating the river water to a standard that it could be diluted, but it is something that as an organisation we need to be aware of. Walgett Shire, for instance, has major problems worse than that, and they have to dilute it. Their salt levels are illegal. Just be aware that in this space there's a lot of work to be doing, but it's to the level that we need to lobby for money. And we're very lucky with the dual system that we've got now, but there is long-term issues.
Can I just finish or conclude by saying that I understand that the residents in Collie pay almost twice the rate for water that's not potable than what we pay for here. So it's a bit of a conundrum. We have to really work hard at.
Those that are not aware, water and sewage funding is separate to general rating funding. If you got any questions on that, just check. Any other comments on the water and sewage? And we'll have an informal right around those that wish to after. Oh, that's reports of delegates. First one is item 1. Is the annual general meeting of the Country Mayors Association held on Friday, September. I'll move that to the chair if I may. If I get a second. Councillor Derek, Gary and I heading that. 15th of December seems a long time ago, but it was a good event because more than nearly 50% of the mayors that were in the room were new. And so there's country mayors have got a board, and a part-time executive officer, and it is the lobby group for those of us that are not metropolitanly based, and it has the power to attract politicians in a colonial sense in their without the capital P politics involved in it, and it is certainly an organisation that we get a lot of benefits out. The meeting had obviously the annual general meeting. We had a social get together. The networking involving around these things. It's my opinion. Sometimes the networking is more productive than the meetings. But yeah, on that. Any other questions on that subject? So I'll put that as received and noted. Any ascension that we put. Item 2, the Castlereagh County Council, the meeting held on the 25th of November. Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Clearsby, Councillor Kinsey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This one was a pretty quick meeting. There wasn't much going on, to be honest with you. One thing did come up that I thought was interesting. Apparently, the Department of Ag has had enough of councils like, say, Trangia or Narromine Shire, where they're not doing their fair share of the weed control on the sides of the roads, etc. Apparently, they're going to start getting hard on those councils. There's actually one council out in the west that doesn't do anything about it. I can't think of the name of it, but it doesn't matter because it's showing up as a bit of an issue. So we probably should be fairly lucky that we're in the we have the council doing their work for it at a very cheap rate, which is about $120,000 a year. You wouldn't supply a vehicle and a worker for that, let alone all the administration. That's about all that really come out of it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kinsey. For those who are not aware, Councillor Kinsey is the Deputy Chairman of Castlereagh County Council. Councillor Mayor of Gilgandra, Doug Battens, is the Chairman. Yeah, it's seems to be everything's all along pretty well there. The first as such, they're financially adequate, and as Councillor Kinsey said, what we do for our requirements, legislative requirements, we get for about that 120,000. The DPI is doing an audit for councils that are trying to do it on their own, and not there will be repercussions from that.
Question. Mr. Mayor, so is it DPI or LIS?
DPI is doing the audit of LLS. Any other comments? I'll put that on over. Item 3, quickly, the New South Wales Public Library Switch Conference 2020. Pauline, hi. Councillor Surdity, do that, please. Seconder, Councillor Houston. Councillor Surdity.
Attended the conference up at Coffs Harbour back in November it was. it was a very good conference. Really, those of you who don't know what switch is, it's not an acronym for anything. It just means moving from one sort of system to another. It doesn't, the word switch doesn't, it's not an acronym for anything else. A lot of it was concentrated on where we're heading into the future with a lot of the like artificial intelligence stuff and things like that. One of the people that were there for the conference were, believe it or not, Telstra. So I had a good chat with them and explained the position. They were going to try and check my personal stuff to see if they could log in. Well, they couldn't log in because they had no internet service. Oh, well, welcome to our world. So apart from all of that, all the other people gave talks on the various things that they're doing within their councils, and it's all pretty much listed in that report. The next meeting for Switch will be next year. And I think it's still going to be around the same time. So we don't know what the theme for that one will be. But yeah, it's very interesting the way councils are moving forward and what's expected of them in comparison to what, you know, it used to be. Going to the library, you had to shut up and say nothing. Well, it's not like that anymore. So there's a lot more things coming in which are becoming an issue in that councils are sometimes now expected to take on the work of other government agencies, which we don't get paid for. We don't have the staff to do. So there's a lot of back and forwards about with the governments to say, look, hey, you can't keep shoving all your stuff onto us when we're not paying for it. We're not employed for this sort of stuff. So interesting things happening. Always interesting to go to the conferences and find out what's up there. Okay.
Other comments or input? So I'll put that. Thank you, councillor Serving. All those in favour? And moving on, the Northwest Library Co-op annual general meeting held on Friday the 29th. Councillor Sirdy again.
This one was a wee bit different in that it's
Second, sorry, councillor Houston.
this one's a little bit different in that it's based on our whole contributing councillors that we have. Again, there's been a lot of things that have been spoken about. All the councillors, all the librarians gave their information on what's happening in their various shires. They're just have to modify some of the policies to bring into effect the more information that's going around with the child policy. So it still fits into their normal policies. But the people who are out there in the system also have to be aware of the fact that there is the library one that you just can't dump your kids and walk off. So there's a lot of controversy in the past that's been happening with that. One of the things that did come up was the timing of that particular conference is usually around November again. But it's just too far away from when we've had the AGMs, from when the end of the financial year is. So they're looking now to bring that forward from either August or September to make it a bit more user-friendly, and it's not when everything is really visible with the council. The other thing is our service agreement is due to come up the end of this financial year. So in the past, and I'm not sure if any of you were aware of this, but Councillor Elaine Campbell used to be our chairperson for this for many years, and when she passed away, prior to she passed away after she finished with the Shire. He always had that position, and then I was voted in after she passed away. We have never ever taken an allowance for the services that we provide for the council, but there's it raises the little head every so often where some of the other members, the other member councils want to tell the chairpersons an allowance. So what we put into the agreement this time is that it will be the chairperson whether they wish to accept it or not, but it will be said into the service agreement that it gets divided between the four councils. So rest assured, for the time while I'll be on there won't be any allowance that I'll be going. We'll just go straight back into the council. We believe we get paid, we get looked after better. It's enough to do the job that we do. We get paid for accommodation. We have the use of the vehicles. It's all there, so we don't believe we will be allowed. So apart from that, the grant that Councillor Derrick mentioned a little while back. That was applied for with Erica and also Susie Ballo. And what it is it's like a projector that drops down and then it's onto the table. And the seniors have the opportunity of being able to interact with those images. But not only is it based for seniors, although we've got a grant for there, we can actually extend it to include anybody within the Shire who's got issues. Mainly it's aimed at people with like the likes of dementia and things like that, so that they can be interactive with it. So for the money that we've got, we'll get a really good value out of it. And it'll be there for, it's just going to say just a projector that shines down onto a table. So very well. It's a grant that came in for that 240,000 to be divided between 8 shires. Pretty much we got targeted as one of the shires that would benefit from it. So we took up the opportunity of, we got in there.
Very much, yes.
So hopefully that makes sense to everyone.
Any other comments? Well done, guys. I'll put that so you can know. Thank you.
And I think you did a press release on that.
Well, yeah. Moving on to item 9. Item 1 and item 9, our policy, our local approved policy, looking for a movement and a second for that, please. Councillor McKay, I've got you, and Councillor Brewer, thank you. I ask General Manager Steve to lead this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The policy has been around for some time, so this is a review and principally correcting typos, dates associated with legislation. So it's just some minor amendments. In addition to that, and in discussions with the Mayor, associated with the drought resilience program and thinking in the rural community, we looked at what we could do for farm stays and for farm gate developments. Councillors, can I refer you to, it's page 10 or page 4 of the actual policy itself. And 2/3 of the way down, we've got exempt works and activities. Under 1, which is the Environment Planning and Assessment Act, it reads, Environment Planning and Assessment Act allows various exemptions. These include State Environmental Planning Policies, exempt and complying development codes, 2008 for building works and other activities on private land such as landscaping. Now, councillors, that is the act that allows farm stays and farm gate developments to proceed without a DA subject to certain conditions, thereby cutting out a lot of the red tape and encouraging those types of developments. And as the Mayor has indicated to me, he sees that, he and many others see that as diversification within the rural community. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to put to the council for their consideration that if we go back to the start of the report, there are 3 recommendations on page 1. We keep 1, the information we received from market, but there's a new 2, and I've got here farm gate and farm stay developments be added to the first stop point under exempt works and activities under 1, Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, which I've just read out on page 4 of the policy, and after the words landscaping. Now, the reason, it's up on the board there. Now, the reason that I'm suggesting this for your consideration is, whilst it is embedded within that SEP and complying development and exempt development, I think it's good to make it explicit. And that's the purpose of including item 2. Then the old item 2 becomes 3 and the old 3 becomes 4.
That's approved.
For the General Manager, then as a result of that, should we have a glossary of terms in here that covers what the terms farm gate and farm stay actually mean for the purposes of development.
Probably a good point. Yeah, okay.
I'm not familiar with farm gate. I am with farm stay, but I think we're opening ourselves up to a little bit of grey area if we don't explain what those are.
If I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, under the exempt and complying SEP, it does have the definitions in there. So therefore, if they update the SEP, you would have to update then the policy. So you always go back to the parent legislation for the definitions. That way you're not maintaining your, I suppose, children.
Is that talked about here in the hierarchy of documents though? So if I was reading this, would I be able to find what those terms mean without going to Google or something?
So you, again, you go to the parent legislation that's referring to as it's exempt under.
Righto. Is that clear? So that is the local approvals policy, section 158 of the Local Government Act. Is that where we would find that glossary of terms? Where do I find that?
That would be under the exempt and complying state environmental planning policy. So it has a definition.
So do we make this difficult on purpose? Why can't we just, those terms, are those terms really going to change with the glossary of terms?
I don't know. Legislation can change every day.
Legislation can, but does the meaning of terms change?
Yes.
So, okay, so I guess that seems straightforward to you, and I appreciate that. I'd struggle to find where those things are within this document and its references, to be quite honest.
Gentlemen.
Mr. Mayor, understanding what Mary Hand has indicated and also the direction that Councillor Brewer is requesting information on, we can include a glossary if you would like within the document. But as Mary Ann has indicated, if that changes in the future, obviously the policy changes. But that's just a process. If you want to go down that path, I would suggest a new 3 that that the terms home, farm gate and farm stay be included in a glossary to be added to the policy prior to exhibition.
Or if I may, Mr. Mayor, it does say in here that the Act dictionary contains expressions used in the policy. Is that what we're talking about, the Act dictionary, which would have been easier than quoting stuff, but I'm without going there and finding it, I guess it's in there, and that may be sufficient. But it's yeah, okay.
Brewers brought a thing up there that, planning policy and development policy is ultra complicated, and it's complicated for a reason in some in the cities and stuff. But we as an organisation need to concentrate on making things easier. So the background of the farm resilience grants, it looks like, unofficially, looks like we, our three local LGAs, Jason, Canamble, Warren, and Bogan, looks like that we might hopefully be recipient of about a $240,000 grant. Proposal that our economic officer Susie's done is partly to spend some monies on our tourism operation, a la the come to look at the marshes, look at the river, the three LGAs. The other part of it is educating and making it easy for the resilience of agriculture when it's in the middle of a drought, to have a broader spectrum of incomes. And that's the reason behind this. The state government's got behind it. We just need to have everything, all our ducks aligned and make it easier. That's why I asked the GM and Director Mary Ann to look at this week and hence the changes.
Mr. Mayor, just from what I can see here, the definition of farm gate is where visitors interact with produce from the farm, such as fruit picking, sales, tasting, workshops and cafes, and farm stays where visitors can stay in buildings or movable dwellings, including tents and caravans on a farm.
Mr Mayor,
Councillor Broad, if the question is, do we leave that in?
well, I was just going to amend what I had said. At the very start there in there are the definitions on page 1 of the LAP. It does say that Appendix A includes a parcel extract. The table of contents, however, doesn't have anything past page 15 and doesn't refer to Appendix A in the table of contents, which probably it should.
Yeah.
So that can come out. That can come out as long as those terms are covered in the partial extract, which would be in Appendix A, and that Appendix A exists in the table of contents on page 0.
So I'm reading this right. Take 3 out and
Yep, and just make sure it's in that partial.
yeah.
Partial extract.
And then
that should be right.
We're with the general manager's first additives, we're right to go to public display. That's where we're going with this, with our normal policy.
Yep, as long as there's the partial sections in there.
Any other discussion over this, guys? This is planning. Do we need votes on this?
I don't believe so, councillor. It's a policy.
Yeah.
It's not a
Planning.
It's not a planning.
So I'll put that, guys. Sorry, Jody.
Get the mover.
Okay. We're right. This is a policy. It's going for public display. Put that motion, all in favour. Thank you. We're just moving now on to reports for the General Manager, the outstanding reports checklist. What I'm looking for a mover in a second, and then I'll ask General Manager Steve to walk through that. Councillor Kenzie, Councillor Terrett.
Just the first one, it's nice to be on the page 1. First item, that's sort of the indication. We are actually moving along in a positive way on that. I'm not 100% sure what the latest is, Mr. Mayor.
The report is being prepared, but the initial emails from the consulting company are that possibly the advertised map from Telstra is about 50% wrong.
Or higher,
Sorry?
or worse than that.
No, what I'm trying to say is that the public document from Telstra with their maps, their actual coverage is 50% less than the map, which is, if councillors are aware, in public debate at the moment, and it's also under investigations from ADSIC and the ombudsman. There's a fair bit of pressure on Telstra. We are going to get our report back, and we've also, as I've had conversations with 2 local mayors, every other council adjacent to us is under the same boat, and I think general managers had conversations with some of our general managers adjacent. So it's always going to be there, but hopefully public opinion is swinging a little, especially since the loss of Bridget.
I just add, Mr Mayor, I have had a conversation with GM at Gilgandra. As you have indicated, Mr Mayor, their issue there is the result of the removal of 3G. And there is a groundswell building over there. I indicated the process that we've gone through. We are awaiting the report. I know in talking to the consultants that are assisting us, they see a future potentially in dealing with surrounding councils as well. So I did pass that on to Gilgandra, and we'll be chatting more about that in the future. Again, as the Mayor indicated, the report writer was on leave last week, so I would expect the report in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Sorry, Councillor Surdity.
Ask for a bit of clarification on that. On my last term of council, I brought up about the tower that's at Nevertar, the Optus one that went in to help fill in with the black spot. We were told back then that Telstra had the opportunity to apply for that project to get going. They didn't want to borrow it, but they also had the opportunity to lease, for the want of a better word, some of the energy, whatever they call it, on the actual tower that would help solve the problem. And that was a no-no. It's not as if they, the opportunity was there to try and help them to do something. They just didn't seem to be interested in taking it up. I don't know whether that's still culture.
So the tower at Nevertar is privately owned by a company.
Yeah.
It leases it to a certain provider. They would lease areas on that to any other provider. But that offer hasn't been taken up. Shall I say the pub talk that tower affects the Telstra reception in Nevertire, our consultant said is not correct. One doesn't affect the other. The issues of Telstra are technical here, and also we'll wait for the report, but they were here for 2 days, drove around with this carload of instruments and measured things, and the report will be coming.
And I also add, Mr Mayor, that there is currently a black spot program funded by the federal government, $55 million. It was indicated to us by the consultant that a tower costs in the vicinity of $1 million. They also indicated that as part of any telco's agreement, they have to supply service to, was it 95 or 98% of the population, not the area. So of course they're going to supply more services along the coast where the population numbers are. But going back to the 55 million, if a tower costs in the vicinity of $1 million, that's probably 55 towers, if in fact that's what is funded, and that is nationwide. So if we got one that supports, let's just say, Nevertire, we'd be extremely lucky. But then, what do we do about the rest of the area? our Shire as well. So it's, again, it's a real issue, and hopefully we can push it along. No, not particularly, Mr. Mayor. There's it's all there in front of you. Unless there's any particular item.
Anything out of the general manager's checklist? Jumping out at you, councillor, please.
Mr. Mayor, just the affordable housing opportunity.
I have no update, Mr. Mayor, on that stage.
My point is, as a council, can we be the people that have built homes over there, that worked on a very old caveat, 1972 or something. I know building materials have improved over time, so caveats can be changed. But we are going to be respectful for the people who have got homes in that block if this does proceed.
Yes. Yeah. So there, I don't know, is there still a caveat on?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, there is a covenant over the estate. Yep, which includes types of building materials. Yep.
I believe there's a size caveat as well. I think it's about 92 square metres. I think the caveat's in 1972 caveat.
Sorry?
I think it was 1972.
I don't know the date.
It's a very old one. It's a very old one.
But I can guarantee you in 1972, it was a swamp.
Well, it's not it's a very old.
But Mr. Mayor, we can look at that. The caveats can be modified. It's just an agreement between the developer and council. There's something that's bottlenecking or restricting.
I think there's concerns with this being out in the open with people that have built homes over there, their specific designs and sizes and material, that all of a sudden there's going to be
the other way. Yeah.
And that's
Understand.
they take that as being disrespectful for what
I understand. Yeah. It's the other.
I think there'll be quite a big backlash if that does happen.
Councillor Kelly.
So just comment on that, through Mr. Mayor, across to, Marianne. I think there was some sort of approval for different construction materials in that, Gunningborough estate a few years ago.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, correct? Yes, there was. The, any variance from the caveat needs to be approved by council, so it'll come across here.
So it's not a sweep
Right.
thing, it's just per DA type of thing.
Correct. Yep.
It's very grey area, councillor Kelly. I'm old enough to remember when there was a bit of a hoo-ha in Garden Avenue over the other side.
Yeah.
Which originally had a caveat on it, I think, and yeah, it's something that's got to be managed.
Yeah, Mr. Gleasby's correct in what he's saying. There is a fair bit of feedback from ratepayers in that area about the future of the estate. So that's basically where it's all coming from. Particularly in regard
I
to,
think there's information and misinformation somewhere with this, you know. Like whilst the general manager and the organisation is looking for grants, the grants are not going to come out here in the next little while. The housing proposal is what they do. You know, there is certain criteria on the buildings, and B those that are in and run by the organisation. Don't quote me, councillor, but there's a minimum of 110, I think, and a maximum of $220,000 combined income. There hasn't been any done the general manager of Marchie Shire Council is the chairman of the organisation that runs them. It's not social housing, it's housing for our doctors or our MOs, our what we can't supply at the moment. For so I'd just encourage, everybody to have patience and see what was there, and then we're talking about fact, not missing. Manager, anything else?
No, that's the thing.
Anyone else? Anyone I'll put the general manager's report. There, anyone against? Thank you. The committee delegates meeting, page 21. Motion, please, quickly. Really?
The standing one.
We're standing up or not?
In the Sylvester's the healthy one here. He reminds me, in recognition of being a healthy town and to keep awareness of a healthy lifestyle, the council will be dealing with item 2 on the general manager's report. Looking for a motion for that, please. You're looking good, very good there, Councillor Was. Councillor Kelly is the fittest one amongst us, so he's seconded. Have you got we delegates report?
Yeah, no, that's all. Official opening card arrival.
Yeah.
Street party.
The Collie CWA was a beneficiary, which I attended to, of some of our revamped play equipment, and they were very appreciative. It was a great Sunday event. Obviously, we've had the official opening of our Carter Oval. They're all listed there. Has anyone got any comments, questions, or read that? Representative at the 2 presentation nights for the schools. Riders who
The rafts, which are
the raft complex was the EPA congratulated us on how we and them got on with the raft exclusion, which will be an interesting debate in their budget, because it took them 5 times longer than they thought they were going to do. Any other questions about delegates? It's just we personally, and general manager and staff, we represent you the best way we can at all these meetings, and I thank those that I co-opt to go and do that. So looking for a vote on that to be received and noted. Thank you. So, three reports of the general manager, work progress reports, infrastructure. Looking for a move and a second, please. I'm going to pick on Councillor Mackay and Councillor Cleesby. Thank you. Councillor Mackay. General manager, you got any comments from that?
The divisional manager engineering services to approve up the date on the is there any? But
Mr. Mayor, we are progressing well with the payment claims. So far, we owed only around about $1 million. and we intend to apply for further payment under the new tripartite agreement, which we signed up for.
For those not quite aware, it is important for us and the staff to get on top of getting paid for what we do. You know, this day and age, as we'll hear later in our investment, you know, it's 5%, 5% for $1 million for is so much per day, let alone month. So the process through the tripartite that divisional manager commented about was instilled after a visit from our regional roads minister, and hopefully is going to streamline this process. No other comment? Anything else, Councillor Brewer?
2 questions, please, Mr. Mayor. First one is about the sliding gate at the showgrounds that was damaged recently.
Race day.
Yeah. So what was the outcome of that? And where did the funding come for the repair of that? Was it?
It hasn't as yet.
Right.
The we moved gates. Correct me if I'm wrong. We didn't upset the contractor doing the sliding gate movement. We swapped gates, which was good because they fitted. There's still a bit of repair to do on the one. The one that's been damaged won't be a sliding one, but we're giving you 2 weeks or 10 days to up wasn't as yet.
We swapped over, and the replacement came from an area where the gate was never used. So we'll deal with that. We're getting prices on getting that sorted.
Secondly, I note that the new pound building is about halfway through the budget, and we've done the foundation and slab. Are we right with budget on that, do we think? We're gonna blow out. There's not much money. There's $70,000 left to build a structure. If we've spent half already, how are we tracking?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd have to take that one on notice. Joe Joseph's project managing that one, so sorry, but I can't answer that question. Sorry.
With the Shire Oval complex, as an aside, and shade front of the Carter Oval complex. We are investigating as last council meeting talked about, and getting quotes for a panel span type structure in front of the building there. It's in the preliminary stages of planning, and then we're going to work out where we're going to find approximately 30 grand to put actually a separate awning, I suppose you could say, out over the front of that, where the kiosk and front of the Carter Oval complex. My strong opinion is that we need to do that and finish. We've got to see the end of finished. You'll notice the slab at Victoria Park Oval is the plumbings and our contract builder comes back from holidays, that will progress and be finished in February, March. Carter Oval irrigation system's been revamped. They had some issues with that. The contractor was here a couple of weeks ago. if you drive past there now, the irrigation system seems to be working on plan. Sylvester, you got any other in mind? Councillor Houston?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I note that that we weren't eligible for a couple of rounds to get EV charging stations. Is there any update on that? Or any other rounds of funding coming up?
Not as fair. There's a couple of different problems with EV starts. It's very good on where the capacity is between that couple. Yeah, it's something that needs to be planned.
See, it's probably important to incorporate at some point if we're looking for tourists travelling to the marshes.
I don't know enough about it, but the difference between a quick charging station and a slower charging station is the capacity of the power. You need to investigate where. Else. I'll put that all in favour. Thank you. Yeah, do we want to break the answer, Joe? How's that, everybody? We'll have morning tea. Everybody happy with that? Have a break morning tea and we'll come back. Yeah, that's all. Administration looking for a mover and second to get this underway, please. Councillor Wass, Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Wass. Tone, are you happy to move that?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Way you go. Director.
Thank you, through the chair. From my perspective, these are somewhat routine reports. You see them every month. Reconciliation certificate for November and December. The only real notable item that I consider is just movement between invested funds and returns to the bank. And focusing on trying to maximise the level of invested funds for council to generate a bit more interest revenue in that regard. Unless there's any further questions, I have any offerings in that area.
Councillors, any comments, questions? Nothing. I'll put that as received and noted. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 2, rates and annual charges. Mover and second, please. Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Houston, Councillor Kinsey.
Looks as if we're running along pretty well. If it was any other year, or it appears to be on them.
Experience, nearly the most experienced councillor here, maybe. These two. Comments, Director?
Certainly agree. Just looking at the comparative percentage, the collection figure of percentage. Bottom of the report there. It's fairly consistent. Slight sort of betterment since 2023. So certainly fairly consistent and stable.
Any other comments, discussions? One looks, so I'll put that all in favour. Thank you very much. Item 3, work progress report plans administration projects. Again, looking for a second to get this underway. Councillor Derrick, Councillor Kinsey. Share this around.
That's good.
Any comments, Councillor Derrick?
To move to recommendation.
Happy to move it. Direct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an update. Still progressing the new electronic record management system. There's been a fair bit of work done in the background by the software provider, Horizon. in the stage of trying to get together a bit of a more formalised kind of working party, staff, key users and so forth. So we can keep that pushing forward. Otherwise, it's business as usual.
Comments, questions? Been noted, all those in favour? Thank you. We'll move on to report to divisional manager, engineer. Oops, sorry. Oh. Librarians operation report. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Surdity, Councillor Cleasby. Councillor Surdity.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. As I say, there's a lot of things happening in the library that a lot of people aren't totally aware of, but very busy, keeping all the kids busy. It's been a lot of activities happening. Everything's there. I don't think there's anything else I can add to it. So just have to go.
Thank you, Councillor Surdity. Any other comments, Director, or anything? Everything seems to be rolling along down there reasonably well. Our new librarians gelled into our team very well. Congratulations to her and her staff. An outsider point of view, but it's a good looking building now with servicing our community. Well done. I'll put that all in favour. Thank you. We long waited divisional manager engineer services item number 1, our works progress reports roads. Can I have a mover and second of that please? Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Cleasby, Councillor Kinsey.
Well, it looks like we've been fairly busy, Mr. Mayor. A lot of stuff going on. One road that I'm particularly interested in, that Booker Road, because we did promise those people we were going to fix it. Just wonder where we are with that at this point in time.
I'll preempt the divisional manager for a moment. We're down there at the moment doing every grading. Fixing it's probably not exactly what we're doing yet, but we need to budget further down to get some more material out there in figures, but it's certainly a lot better. And I'll ask the divisional manager to comment where we're at with that. And anything else in context?
Mr. Mayor, so far we've done 30 kilometers on Booker Road and we're going on with it. Generally, we are focusing on highway and Nevertai Bogan Road. And when we finish those ones, we shift our focus to Karinda Road. As you are now aware, we have some 2 major projects there that are funded under the Towards Zero Road Safety Program. So Karinda Road, segment 64 to 74, and then Matagai Road, segments 12 to 20. We'll try to do the first 6 kilometers of Matagai Road as well, subject to resourcing availability. So yeah, that's our focus for now.
Thank you. Councillor Kinsey.
While we've got all that machinery on the Tottenham Road, Mr. Mayor, I wondered if it'd be possible to run the gear up and down that Cremorne Road. Yeah. Into the Druce's front gate.
Noted.
Thank you.
Kudos or not, we often talk about pub test. Believe it or not, in the last 3 weeks a month, I've been getting more kudos about our roads than brickbats, which is different. So congratulations to the staff for what they're doing doing it. You know, those that drive around as much as I do note it. We've, I think we're slowly achieving things in the road space. But, the two major projects that Sylvester just alluded to, will be highly public, and it's great to get the grants. Just got to, while we're doing major projects in the highway, and the highway is taking a lot of our resources, which we are making money out of. And the reason we're doing the highway is that it's helping with the finances elsewhere. But we've just got to be aware of our minor ones as well. And that was the reason that Councillor McCoskey and I went for a bit of a tour a couple of weeks ago. From my point of view, and if I'm asking for any comments, that generally our perception in the village, in the Shire as a whole, is that we're moving forward in the road space. Well, that's what coming back to me anyway. Any other comments, Sylvester? Anything else in your road report? I'll put that as received and noted. And congratulate those on the roads committee and staff for how things are going. Yes, boss. Item 2, works progress, town services. Looking for a mover and a second. Councillor Surdity, and Councillor Kelly. Thank you, Councillor Surdity.
Just a couple of little things about in relation to the avatar, and we don't laugh at me. I don't know anything. But the park, we had some new swings put in at the park, which was really very well received. The one that the older children sit on, it's still too high up. You pretty much have to hang on to the bars and jump to get their bums onto the seat. The baby one is fine. That was fixed. The other issue that we have down there is the soft fall underneath, the sand underneath. Certain areas of it has thinned out, and you can't rob it from anywhere else to sort of bring the level up. So if we could have somebody look at maybe putting a load of sand in there for us, that'd be much appreciated.
Thank you.
And the other thing that was to do with and I'm not sure how often it was meant to happen, but when you put on all the new drainage system that leads back down past my place.
Yes.
The water is supposed to flow down and keep moving, but the actual catchment things, they were meant to be cleaned out a regular period of time to allow that water to flow. I'm just wondering, I haven't seen anybody down there doing a bit of a flush out to see if it's moving.
I am aware of that problem, and with the drainage, and I'll.
It's a lot better than it used to be, but it's just that they were meant to, after they put all the new systems in, that they were meant to be given a regular flush to keep them moving, but we're still having some issues with it. I haven't seen any.
So backing up that street.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other problem that we have, which is in relation to that, and being not being an engineer, but I do know how water flows.
Downhill usually.
Yeah, we don't know downhill never. That's the problem. The problem that we have is if you look at the spoon drains that they put in at the backs of the properties, like for instance, with the back of my place all over along the Babylon Road, the actual drain is lower than the outlet to allow it to flow out. So when the water gets away that much as it can, that remaining water sits there, and we have some issues with multis.
Yeah.
At the moment, so I'm wondering if they can just have a look at that when they do it. I mean, all that dirt that they pulled out of it still sitting over behind the sewage plant, you think? Might be just a matter of bringing it back in and getting the level right so that when it does flow, it flows into there in a way.
So
Worth a look, I think.
we've noted that geographically it's reasonably difficult when the village is built in a bloody hole.
It's in a big
Yeah, no, I am aware of that. When we have these 100 mil events, the problem is there in vegetation in that drain away.
It just doesn't combine.
It doesn't.
The other issue to do with the drainage, to do with the vegetation is, when they put in the tower, that's at the beside the water tower. The deal was that they were supposed to maintain that area that's in there, and I did bring it up before Christmas. There hasn't been anybody out there. So if we've got people coming to look at the water tower murals, they can't, our council does all of the mowing, so you can get up and down the little laneway and what have you, but the snakes hide in the other stuff. And it's only just a wire fence and they'll come out. And we've had a few.
This was mentioned a couple of months ago and
Needs to
Director,
needs to be done on a regular basis.
I think we need to get heavy with the owner of the block. Thank you, councillor. Any other comments, Carl?
Yes, Mr Mayor, while we're in that finer part of the Shire, there's a culvert being put in incorrectly on the Warren side of Nevertide, between the water tower and the little pump house. The culvert's about 4 inches proud of the gutter it's supposed to be draining. And they usually just leave 4 inches of water in the gutter. So I think it'd be nice if we could actually put the culvert in correctly, Mr Mayor. It's a plastic culvert.
Taken, Miss Councillor Kinsey, and we might get some of our engineering staff to try and work out the problems of drainage in Nevertide.
I'll be busy.
Any other councillor Brewer? Go.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've recently had occasion to visit the cemetery, and I'd just like to congratulate the staff on how good the cemetery looks and how professional it is. There's been some really positive comments on social media in recent times about that, about the way it looks. It was pretty good, notwithstanding the issues we see here in the first item with some seeding issues and heavy rain and things like that. It really looks good, and we should be proud of that. That site, it's lovely. So if we could pass on that congratulations to the team. You know, if some of these things happen, they go unnoticed and no one mentions anything, but to have positive comments coming via social media, and having been there and had a look at it myself, it is pretty good.
I back up your comments, councillor. Fortunately, I've had the occasion of being there at the events in the last month or two. And the unsolicited comments from people that have come back to the town. We had a very large funeral here a week or so ago where a lot of people came back that lived in this town in the 70s and 80s. And the feedback from them was not specific to the cemetery, but specific to the whole town. And yeah, and don't get me wrong, to keep our village looking like it is costs us a lot of money, but our crew have had it with a reasonable wet past year, looking good. And back up your comment. Anyone else comments about our town services? We'll see some more of that for the next 2 weeks later. I'll move that. I'll put that all received. Thank you. Works progress plant mover and seconder. Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Kelly, Councillor Kinsey.
Not really much the same as the mayor. It's all written down here, so.
It was basically discussed in our plant report.
Pretty well.
Director, you got anything?
No, Mr. Mayor.
No, Mr. Mayor. I'll put that, we've talked about plant, all those in favour of received and noted, thank you. Item 4, proposed land acquisition. Just a mover and a second to get this discussion underway, please. Councillor McKay, Councillor Jackson, thank you, Councillor McKay.
Happy to have the discussion.
Background before I get on to the GM on the development is the making the crossroads between Winter Road and the bypass be accident prone. There was issues about the alignment and reasons that you've got options 1 and 2 there. If anyone needs some clarification, that I'm sure the GM or divisional manager would cost it. It was necessitated, as we've talked about before, about possible sale of Queensland cotton area. It is an issue that needs to be planned before and then later on funded, which I need to keep in the back of their mind. But personally speaking, whilst there might be some comments about those that use the Corinda Road all the time, I'm personally happy that because I've been petrified about coming across a major accident there. Every week there's a new set of heavy vehicle black marks on the road, and I think this is the option that we should take up, and asking for comments from either anyone. Director.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as you've the intersection is not very safe. As you can see in the figures that they put there, it's a cross intersection with acute angles on the approaches. The option 1 is the ideal one because it rectifies both intersection angles, makes them 90 degrees. But the challenge there would be to acquire that bit of land on the northeast, because that bit of land is under native title, which has been 4 years determined.
No chance.
So, yeah, it would be very difficult to acquire that. Not impossible, but very difficult, might take years and years. So that's why we've come up with that option 2, because that land in green would be easier, owing to the circumstances now, to acquire. That option still leaves the intersection angle of the Carina Road approach very acute, but overall it will be safer than what we have now.
This was the same issue we had with the Marthguy Bridge, that we had to work around the alignment because of whilst director is technically correct, we can apply it, get it. It might be 5 years or longer, whereas this is possibly achievable. The alignment that you see there on the left also doesn't mean moving power assets. Yeah, I think it is the only option we've really got to do without the alignment of the levy precludes a roundabout. There's not enough room. I think financially and technically, I'm in favour of this option, but open for discussion. Councillor Kinsey.
I think option one is probably in the long run, it'll be the best option, but I appreciate what you're saying about the 5 years. But surely we could go and see the people who are in charge of this and say that our intention is to save lives here. And then maybe they'd swing to us.
If I may respond to that. So native title has an in-depth process. It has to go to the NTT, which is the National, it's a tribunal. And in 9 out of 10 cases, compensation would probably be payable, and that could be in the millions.
We're doing this for the public safety.
Same issue, Mr Mayor, that you alluded to with Martha Guy Bridge. There's a parcel of land that we wanted to snitch a bit of land, which was under native title.
So for knowledge, for those that are not quite aware, the Martha Guy Bridge had to move upstream slightly and be redesigned because we couldn't get approval to go to straighten the corner. It's bureaucratic process, Councillor Kinsey. We've got to live with it or work around it. Got no answers.
And Mr Mayor, if I may, we don't have to make a call on either of these options right now. Like you correctly pointed out, this is, you got to kick the can down the road a little bit before we decide on the shape of that intersection.
Not to jump in for you. The reason for this is the publicised sale. The reason for doing this now is the publicised prospective sale of the block on the corner. To be fair, to be morally fair to a new purchaser, we want this done so that A, the party that is selling it, and B, the party that might buy it are aware of what we plan to do. The actual physically going and doing it is not yet on the table. Am I correct? Correct. This is planning where, to be fair to the owner of the block that is being sold, and to be fair to a prospective purchaser, so that this be a public document prior to the expressions of interest or whatever Queensland Cotton want to do.
So, Mr Mayor, we do need to make a decision on the option.
Yes.
Well, from my point of view, if you don't mind me saying, I would favour a hybridised version of either of these. So I like the slip lanes in option 1, but there's no slip lanes indicated in option 2. Option 1 just seems to be a tidier, possibly higher speed transition intersection than option 2. Option 2 looks like 2 T intersections, whereas option 1 appears to be certainly the northbound lanes heading north and turning left. They look like slip lanes, which make a lot more sense than the T intersection option. So if we can assume that native title is going to be one thing that's going to hold us back. If we went with a hybridised version of 1 and 2, is that possible? I don't mean to make trouble, but I like the slip lanes and I like the avoidance of native title.
Mr Mayor, it's a good point that you raised. Keep in mind though, councillors, what you're looking at here is purely concept. All we're looking at is having sufficient land to be able to do something with detailed design. And I take your point about your slip lanes and storage lanes and deceleration lanes, all those types of things. That will come later. We just need to.
Which was my previous point. We can kick the can down the road on choosing which option, other than to say that council may or may not, but for anyone who's the prospective buyer, council may be putting in a greater intersection in there and be acquiring the corner of that land.
But we need to say today that we want that land.
Okay. Then let's do that.
And we'll go to detailed planning of that later.
Yep, I agree. Okay.
in my feeling, morally, we need to say to the owner of the land now and to the owner of the prospective purchaser that this plan will be worked on in some way so that the actual purchase line or the line might be adjusted, but that it is in the planning stage. Correct. So the actual planning of the intersection and what we're actually going to physically do is not there yet. We haven't got the money to do it yet. We need to do it in some way or other, but we need to be upfront with our ratepayers or whoever's going to purchase it or whoever's going to not sell it. That's Councillor King.
I'm ready that we get on with it, Mr. Mayor. Just do it.
Councillor Jackson.
Sorry, just a point of clarification, Mr. Mayor, the negotiations for acquiring the land, are you planning on doing that with the current owners or with the prospective owners?
It would probably be with this prospective owner, but the sale contract would include, I don't know, I'm not legally up there.
Mr. Mayor, you're on the right track. It would be with the person or the people that own the land at the time of acquisition, whomever they are.
So the Compulsory Acquisition Act is something that I'm not au fait with, but it's under valuation.
Yeah.
The valuation will be set probably by the sale of the land. The percentage that's taken off them would set the valuation. All that would be compensated. There'd be a fencing compensation. There's a lot. Yeah, but we're not there yet. This is just a concept. Councillor Wass.
I noticed on the page 33, the analysis may include consideration of roundabout. I rather like the idea of the roundabout rather than the double intersection. So my question is, does this land acquisition give us enough land to be able to consider the possibility of a large roundabout in the future, whether or not we do it, whether or not we're able to fund it, whether it's viable economically, but I'd like to see enough land acquired so that that possibility could be achieved if we want to.
Point taken, and that's the same as Councillor Brewer, that the planning of it, it's not yet done yet. The option on the roundabout is still on the table.
As well, within this area of land potentially.
Yeah, there would be enough land. There would be enough land.
Okay.
There would be enough land for a roundabout. That would limit, and we wouldn't have to be up for the reconstruction of the levy.
When I talk about a roundabout, I'm not talking about a tiny one. I'm talking about a big one that can take, a reasonable speed and comfort.
That's correct. But we've got whilst I'm not a road safety expert, we've got to stop people coming over that levy at 120.
Yep.
Because that's what's going to kill someone.
I got cleaned up there.
I know, it's bad news as is.
Sounds like number two. Okay.
Any like this, we're not into planning. We're just into we're giving our staff an option to do something which and to be fair to the landholder and just think of it as if you were going to buy a house, you'd want to know that the council wants to resume 10 feet of your backyard. Any other comments? I think we've been around.
Mr. Mayor, all we're talking about is the road reserve. Don't worry about the design per se. It's the road reserve to be able to undertake.
Yep.
So everybody happy? We're not trying to railroad anything through. This is just putting things that will be out there maybe in the future, accentuated by the possible sale of the plot. So If no other comments, I'm going to put that all in favour. Thank you. Moving on to reports from the Manager of Health and Development, item 1, development applications approval. I think that's from memory 2 there. Councillor Surdity, Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Surdity.
Moving recommendation.
Moved and noted. Any other comments before I put this one? This is pretty academic. All good. I'm putting that all in favour. I thank you. Work progress reports, item 2, looking for a mover and a second, please. Picking on Councillor Houston this time. Jackson. Sorry, Councillor Houston, you're not in my direct dialogue.
Yeah, I just move that the information be received and noted.
Thank you, Director. If you don't comment. Any on the floor, Councillor Brewer.
Quick one, I'm just trying to re-find it. We're back on the town here. I've just lost my place, but animal shelter 140 was a budget, 47,606 expended, if that's correct. And just before the break, I talked about, I think, 67. So can someone tell me which one's right? There's 2 different figures in here. I'm just trying to find that thing. Somewhere in here was that. Which number's correct? I guess is the answer.
Might be, if it's all right with you, Councillor Brewer, we might take that on notice with.
Righto, thank you.
And we'll come back to you personally with an email about that.
Middle of phase 4 it is.
Yeah.
Just trying to balance this figure. Are you happy with that, Councillor?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Houston?
Just was wondering, these warrant support services targeted early interventions. So there's a budget and then the expenditure, whatever, there's unusually. I was wondering where a few of those are to. Some of them should have started and some of them obviously haven't yet.
Yep. Got them now, yep. 2 different numbers.
Anyway, all of those.
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So they normally run their own programs. We sort of auspice the money, so we require receipts that they've spent the money as they should on that program. So it's up to them as to when they finalise their project that they get that acquittal back to council. So we do contact them regularly, yep, in an attempt to.
So who is them in some of these cases, like let's say the piano lessons or junior soccer or
Yep.
Wasn't clear to who then were in some of those.
I think I'm not too sure where the piano lessons are. I'd have to take that on notice and check. The speech and literacy one is the multi-purpose health service. Yeah. The one in particular that you were.
No, I was just wondering what the concept was that there's a budget and there was nothing against the budget.
Yeah, so they only come back to us once they've acquitted and spent all the funds. Yep.
Sorry, Councillor Houston, I don't, there's a community budget we'll talk about for next year, same thing. And I don't know enough about it to comment either, but we can come back to you. But when we do our concept of budget next month and we sit around working stuff, where do we spend money? These things come up. Any other Sarah, you haven't got any information.
We're coming tonight.
You haven't got any updates? Councillor Euston's talking. Apologise, I'm not. What's up? Any other questions? I'll put that all in favour. License motions and questions without notice. We haven't any matters of urgency. We haven't had any confidential matters this year. This meeting, we haven't got any tenders or anything confidential. General Manager, you got anything before we close?